Good luck with that. Now, a few weeks ago, Chelsea player Frank Lampard dropped in to see Philip and me.
At the time we recorded the interview, he was just 3 goals short of being the club's highest goal scorer of all time.
Well, thanks to the magic of TV, we can now find out how he was feeling ahead of that career-defining moment. Frank, it's lovely to have you here. And I know that you don't do many of these, and I know it's your first time on this morning. So I was talking to Phil and I was trying to think of the way to make you most relaxed and sort of imagine you're at home, possibly on my sofa and possibly with, like, a little snack just to make you feel more relaxed. So I'll just leave that little packet of ham there, and if you want to help yourself,
you ought to explain why you're doing that.
Yeah. I'll let you explain.
Frank and Christine came over to my house and we went out for a little drink beforehand and something to eat. And then, trying to be the hostess with the mostess that I was, realised that I had nothing in the house apart from a bottle of champagne, which was lovely, and a packet of ham.
Yeah.
So then I didn't even arrange it nicely on a plate or make a feature of it. I could have made a little ham roll or something, but I just ended up putting a packet... I woke up the next morning, came downstairs, and there was that on my table with 4 glasses of champagne.
Yeah.
Is this
I think you fell asleep eating it.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I did.
about that.
I fell asleep with the cat on my head. And then they left.
Well, anyway,
that
That's fine.
just
Thank
breaks
you.
the
No,
ice a
all
little
settled
bit now.
Yeah.
Because you don't do many of these.
No, not really, no. As a footballer, I suppose it's not really our first thing, and a bit nervous, actually, so it's nice to be in good company, at least.
Well, no, it's lovely to have you here.
Thank you.
When was the first time you kicked a ball and thought, this is what I want to do for my whole life, this is my job?
Probably going back right to the beginning. I remember my dad taking me over the park at about 5 years old and joining me with the local team at that point. And I was a bit shy. I was a shy kid at that point. And my dad was like, go on, get in there, son, and all that. And they was a year older than me. I was too young to actually join, but they took me. And I remember I basically kicked the ball from as soon as I could walk. And that was the first time I joined the club. And from then on, football was my life. I mean, I did a lot of school. My parents made sure I'd done all my schoolwork, but outside of that, it was football, football, football.
And you are... See, this is difficult, because when this interview goes out, we may very know whether or not you've managed to do this. But currently, as we sit here now, you are 1 goal away from equalling Bobby Tamlin's record.
Yes.
One goal away. And I think at the moment there's 6 games left.
6 games to go, yeah, if we win and get to the final of the year.
So having been that little boy that has, you know, kicked a football since that was the first thing you could ever do and all you wanted to do, knowing that you could achieve that, what would that mean to you?
Well, it mean everything. I never dreamed as that little boy, and even as I went up the ladder a little bit and started playing professional football, I never dreamed I'd be able to play at Chelsea for so long, score these goals, and I represent my country, all that stuff. And I've been very lucky. Chelsea's a great club, great owner who's obviously invested a lot, which took us to really high places. So I feel very fortunate. But yeah, no, I'm really pleased with where I've got to, I suppose.
Is it true that you have got, for someone within the team or within the club, an unusually high IQ?
Yes, that is true. We've done some tests. I think John Terry actually took a bang to the head in the game, so the doctor then started doing IQ tests so that we had a base in case anyone else gets bangs to the head. And so we all done IQ tests for that, and mine came out as the highest.
I bet you were like that, yes!
I loved it. I couldn't believe that I managed to do it. You know, I was
So do you
surprised.
think that helps in any way, strategically, tactically in football?
I think so. You know, I think footballers get a bit of a bad press. There's a slight stereotype that footballers can only kick a ball around, and I don't think that's quite right. I think 2nd or 3rd was John Terry on the list. I think I read somewhere that, you know, the Wayne Rooneys of the world are actually much higher IQs than what people would say. So I think it does certainly help. Sharpness of the mind, you know, reactive, people being on the ball a little bit, and I think it all kind of links in.
What do you think is your greatest moment throughout your career, or a moment that you remember?
Winning the Champions League last year. Yeah, we had an amazing run to the final. It was like a film script. Anyone who followed it, Chelsea fans will tell you, we was out and we was back in and we was out and we managed to cling on. And we had 2 days in Munich. Everyone came, Christine came, and the family came, and the whole 2 days were the best celebration ever.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Are your girls into football?
Kind of. I won't lie, they're kind of... I quite like them being girly girls, and they are, so I take them to Chelsea, they support Chelsea, but when I'm away and they're at home with Christine, I'll say, Daddy's on telly tonight, and watch the game, and they don't watch anything. Tucked into their iPads or their Barbies and that. So that's, you know.
Well,
fine.
I mean, you're a brilliant dad, and I know that you read to them a lot, and the bedtime stories are very important to you. So, I mean, it's great to have written your own.
Yes.
I mean, you really are making a point with the girls here, because it is a football story that you've written. So one way or the other, they will get into the football.
They have to, yeah.
This is Frankie's Magic Football, and this is the story that we're talking about here. So explain where this came from. This is so far away from your day job. How did it happen?
Well, that's the first thing. I mean, when you play football, we do a lot of travelling, spend a lot of time, and a lot of players play computer games and all this kind of stuff, and I don't do that. So I just wanted to look at something I could do in my own time. So I came up with the idea for this about 4 or 5 years ago. And to be honest, I didn't have the sort of the confidence to go ahead and actually do anything about it. So I had the characters in my head, had an idea of stories, and then about a year or so ago, I actually thought, right, I'm going to try and do something. I'm getting a bit older in football years, and you start looking for other things. And that's when I actually took the ball by the horns and started writing out the stories and putting them down on paper. And it went from there about a year ago.
Because these are stories that you would tell the girls, but you just sort of make them up as
I mean, I read to the girls in bed, but it's sometimes, you know, those nights where you actually really just want them to go to bed, and I say, no reading tonight. And they go, well, make us up a story. So I made up stories quickly. And to be honest, they wasn't actually about football. They was about time machines and Barbies and fairies and all those things. But it gave me the idea of being a kid that loved football so much, and I didn't really see anything out there, particularly for boys. I mean, I've got 2 girls, but boys I know struggle to read. You know, it's something that's quite hard to get them to hold their interest in it. Yeah.
Well, tell us about the characters in this, because there is a little girl in this, isn't there, Louise?
Yes, Louise.
She's a good player.
She's good.
She's good, and she's clever. She's like the brains of the gang, so she's the one that sort of... she's a very thoughtful girl. She's good.
Are they based on anyone?
No, not particularly, no. I mean, obviously, Frank have used my own name, so that's a bit egotistical kind of thing. Anyway, no, but I just... Frank, he's not based on anyone. He's just based on any young kid. I've got my little nephew, Stan, who's 7 years old, who loves football, and it reminds me of what I was. So Frankie's that little kid that just loves
What about Charlie, the goalie?
Charlie, the goalie. He is actually based on all the goalies I've met in my career, because goalies are a different breed of footballer.
In what way?
They're just different. They're off the wall a little bit. I mean, it's strange because you have a squad of 20 players and you have like 2 or 3 goalies, and so somehow they become a bit different, and you meet some mad ones along the way. So Charlie in the books actually keeps his gloves on all the time, never takes them off ever. That's his thing, so he's always ready to save.
And you are a reading champion as well, aren't you?
Yes, there's a charity which is the reading agency, which have got a great initiative, which is the Summer Reading Challenge. So over the summer holidays, where kids obviously don't go to school, maybe go away on holidays, or they switch off from reading. So what it is, if kids can read 6 books over the holidays, they get little rewards. Fortunate enough, they put this book on as a list of sort of recommended to read. So I'm really pleased I've had a crack at it to see maybe one little boy can read it and get excited.
Would you like to do some more?
I'd love to. As I say, it's nice to have, put your mind into something different from playing football since I was 17 now.
Yeah.
So it must be difficult, and we can't and won't discuss sort of contracts and things. It must be difficult for you in a state of flux, for home life, not quite knowing where you're going to be and what you're going to be doing.
Sure.
Is that tough?
A little bit. I mean, I can't moan too much. I've been very lucky. I've had 12 years at Chelsea now, where I've never had that kind of feeling. It's been very secure for me that I'm going to stay there. And as you get older, reality does sink in, and things change and move on, and you certainly come to terms with that. But in terms of your home life, with 2 girls, with Christine, we're very settled in London. So you have to get your head around that. It's a bit different situation for me.
When are you going to make an honest woman out of her, for goodness sake?
I am going to. And actually, it's something that's nice to talk about, because there's so many rumours about weddings getting postponed and all this kind of nonsense, and we never had any wedding planned, but we certainly are going to get married. But we'd love to do it when no one knows, and we're just done a big show. Yes, exactly. That'll be our style, I think.
Well, thanks for coming in today. It's really lovely to see you. Thank you.
Great to be here. Thanks.
He's a lovely bloke.
Isn't he just the nicest man?
Lovely. So congratulations to Frank, because after that interview he did, of course, go on to become the highest goal scorer of all time for Chelsea. Now stands at 203.
And counting. And he's since signed a further 1-year contract to remain at the club. So let's get some more of your comments.
Well, lots of happy people out there. Quick one about Frank Lampard. Claire says, I love Frank. What a gent. You can clearly see he's a very bright and intelligent man. Quite nice to hear him talk, isn't it? It's
about
very,
things
very
other
nice.
than just the The beautiful game.
Yeah, no, it's good. Wonder stuff.
How did I do?
Very good.
Was that good? Thanks.
I'm a big fan of football.
You know more about football than I do.